tie now a bigger foam fly. Who likes to fish with foam patterns? Anybody? They kind of float well. So this is a cicada variation. Has anybody ever seen Card Cicada, Charlie Card Cicada, that he ties up for the Green River? Yes. It's a great pattern, and I've kind of tweaked it a little bit for my own liking. In addition to that, I've tied it in a whole bunch of different colors, and this brown color has done really well. 2 years ago on Savery, it really did the trick, so we'll just tie that bad boy. We're going to use a lot of foam and yarn on this guy. So in the vise, I've got a Gamakatsu S10. It's a 2X long dry fly hook in size 8. And I usually do these in about size 10 to about size 4. So a whole bunch of different sizes you can fish in those. And to start this, I've got 140 denier thread. It's UTC 140. Just because if you're trying to crank down on foam with thin thread, it can break. So I'm just going to dress my hook and take some 3mm craft foam or fly tying foam in dark brown, and we'll cut again just about the hook gap width of foam, and then I like to take and cut it to a point. And if anybody's got a lighter, I usually singe the ends of it, but you can imagine that we did that. All right, so I'm just going to tie that in right on top of the hook shank. Make sure it doesn't roll. It's just going to kind of stay there, just like that. And then I'm going to take some 2mm foam in tan, and I'm going to tie another section of foam on top of that one, but this one's going to be thinner. So this adds a little bit of buoyancy to the fly. It also kind of adds a little bit of dual color action in case you're fishing, rapids and your fly is going to get sucked down and ride a little bit lower. So I'm just going to put that right on top like this. Kind of hard to show until I tie it in.
How thick is that foam?
This is 2mm foam, so the bottom one, I think I accidentally grabbed, no, I think the brown one is 3mm, but I usually do 3mm on the bottom, 2mm on the top for this size. And then for smaller flies, I'll usually do 2mm and 1mm. So I'm just going to take some CA glue, some super glue, and I'll just put that right under here and tag that in place. Okay, so once we do that, the body's going to be made out of diamond dub. This is a product from John Romer in Arizona, but it's really good stuff. It's kind of like a mix between semi-seal and ice dub. So really good stuff. This color is called ice blue brown. So I'm just going to create the body out of that. And I'm dubbing it on here pretty thick. Set that aside for a second. And then I'm going to lift up that foam and just wrap that forward. And I'm going to leave that much of the hook shank on the screen. This hook shank looks a lot shorter than it really is. I think it's compressing it. This is a little bit longer fly than it looks on the screen anyway. But we're going to leave some room for a head here. Before I pull that foam over, I'm going to just dab it with some super glue right on top of the dubbing. And I'll just take both of those pieces of foam and tie those down. And I'm using the Loon Ergo bobbin for this. I really like that for thick thread. So, and I have huge hands. It fits my hand well. So we're going to do that once more. Where'd it go? Oh, I had a clump here. Just dub it up to the eye.
You could have it.
So kind of a messy dub job. That's fine. You just want that to look kind of solid on the bottom there. And now I'm going to take both of those pieces of foam and pull those over. And take the smaller piece now and clip that off. So just like the cinnamon toast ant now, I'm just going to take my thread and advance it over that front clump and put it right here behind the what will be the head of the fly. Okay, so one thing with cicadas is when they hit the water and they die or they go into shock, their wings kind of splay out and they're really translucent and shiny. So if you've seen my buddy Curtis's project cicada, it's a really elaborate pattern with wings that flap around. I think he puts little motors in them and everything. Not really. But I wanted to create a wing that would kind of lay splayed out on the water, but still be simple. So I'm going to take that cream sparkly merger yarn again, and I'm going to tie in a similar wing just like on that ant, but I'm going to tie them in right on the sides of the fly. Just like that. And I'll take those and I'll trim those maybe a little bit longer than the body. So now you can see that those are going to splay out. Now, that's not enough to really provide a lot of buoyancy for this fly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some parapost material. So this is like a polypropylene yarn that's been treated with watershed. That one's all matted up. I'm going to get a different one. And I'm going to do kind of the same thing, but I'm just going to tie in a double layer of this right on top of the fly. So tie that in like that. I'll grab the other piece and I'll tie it down. So that wing does not look good right now, so I'll take a little comb and I'll brush it out a little bit. Okay. So once we have the wing kind of how we want it, messy, I'm going to take that head now and fold that back to where my thread is. And now we've created a big bulky head just like a cicada has. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the cinnamon toast ant, and I'm going to create some what look like eyeballs. Just like that. Okay, so almost done. I'm going to take and snip off that foam and just add some legs. So wasn't it we were using flesh colored legs. That was the joke when we were fishing with those guys, like a tan colored leg. So we're not doing flesh colored legs this time. This is a clear silicone rubber that's barred with brown coloration. These are called Chacon's Crusher legs, and it's a newer product from Hairline. They're designed for whatchamacallit, saltwater, but we're fishing them for trout. So here's a really easy way to tie in rubber legs onto a fly. You get the leg about twice as long as you think it needs to be out of the front. And I'm going to tie in 2 legs on each side. I'm going to tie in the 2 legs just like that, so they look like they're hanging down quite a ways. And then I'm just going to take those 2 front legs and I'm going to loop them around to the other side and tie them in like that. And I'm going to trim those a little bit shorter than I would say on a hopper. A little bit more. And then just take the front loop and trim those. And now you've got little stubby legs coming off them. So cicadas do have pretty short legs. I'm sure that, you know, tying longer legs might give a little action, but that's about the length that I like. Now I've got one of those foam cutters, and you can see that I've cut a whole bunch of indicators out of this. This is a 1mm yellow cross-link foam. So I'm just going to take one of these that I've cut out, looks like that. And you'd be surprised, but this fly does sit pretty low in the water. So I'm just going to take this and tie it in right on top of the head, and then trim the front section flat. And then because I've got a bunch of bulk here, I'm just going to do a hand whip finish. Whenever you do a hand whip finish, you should always use head cement. So I'll do it. So anyway, that's my variation on a card cicada. You'll see as this goes around that it's not quite as short and pudgy as it looks on the camera. Any questions on this bug? If you fish the Green River, you should tie this one. It'll work 60% of the time, every time.